Hey everyone, it's your family doctor. Thanks for taking a few minutes to hang out with me today. I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for a long time. Over the past few months, I've seen so many people in my clinic who just can't seem to shake that lingering cough, or they come in feeling completely drained with this heavy, foggy feeling in their head that just won't lift. Have you noticed that with anyone in your life? Maybe your spouse, a coworker, or a friend, or maybe you're the one who's been feeling that way. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. Let me tell you about a patient who really drove this point home for me. About 2 years ago, a man came to see me. He was a very successful businessman, the kind of guy who had built an empire from the ground up. On paper, he had everything: a beautiful home, a car service, a team of assistants who handled his every need. But when he walked into my exam room, he was being supported on both sides by his driver and his assistant. He was only 55 years old, but his face was this ashen, lifeless gray, like the color of burnt out charcoal. His eyes were unfocused and dull, his lips had a bluish tint, and he spoke so softly I had to lean forward to hear him. He sat down, took a breath, and before he could even say a word, the tears started rolling down his cheeks. He looked at me and said, "Doc, what did I do to myself?" Here's his story about 3 years earlier. He had been diagnosed with early stage diabetes and a mild stomach ulcer. At that time, his dietitian, his primary care doctor, and even a health consultant had hired overseas all told him the same thing: your pancreas is struggling, your stomach lining is fragile. And you absolutely cannot let your blood sugar spike or drop. You also can't let stomach acid irritate that ulcer. So you need to eat small, frequent meals about 7 times a day to keep everything stable. Now, this man was a high achiever. He followed that advice like it was a matter of life or death. And he followed it perfectly. His daily routine was like a military operation. At 6:30 in the morning, he'd have a small bowl of oatmeal. At 9 o'clock, his assistant would bring him half an apple and 3 walnuts. At 11 o'clock, he'd have 2 whole wheat crackers. At 12:30 in the afternoon, he'd eat a tiny, portion-controlled, healthy lunch that looked more like a snack than a real meal. At 3 o'clock, he'd have some nuts with low-fat milk. At 5:30 in the evening, he'd have an early dinner. And at 8:30 at night, just before bed, he'd drink a glass of warm milk with a slice of bread to prevent his blood sugar from dropping too low overnight. Now, I want you to really listen to that routine. On the surface, it sounds perfect, doesn't it? It's regular, it's balanced, it has fruits and nuts and whole grains. It looks like the kind of plan that any health magazine would endorse. It seems like this guy was doing everything right, but here's what happened. The first month, his blood sugar looked stable. He was actually pretty proud of himself. He felt like he'd found the answer. By month 3, the problem started. He began to feel bloated, and I don't mean that comfortable. I just ate a big meal kind of fullness. This was a deep, heavy, stuck sensation, like he had swallowed a rock that was just sitting there in his gut, not moving. He went back to his doctor, who told him that his digestion was weak and he needed to eat even softer foods and chew more thoroughly, so he did. He turned his rice into a paste and chewed each bite 50 times. By month 6, his limbs felt heavy, and I mean truly heavy. He told me that every morning when he woke up, his legs felt like they were made of lead. He'd literally drag his feet when he walked. His brain felt like it was packed with cotton wool. In meetings, he'd stare off into space while his staff were presenting. He couldn't focus, he couldn't make decisions. The sharp, decisive business leader he used to be had completely vanished. And then after a full year of this routine, his blood sugar wasn't stable at all. It was actually worse. It had turned into a roller coaster, spiking high after meals and then crashing so low that he'd get shaky, sweaty, and dizzy. His stomach pain turned into a dull, gnawing ache that would wake him up in the middle of the night. And his bowel movements, they were a disaster. They were sticky, messy. And he felt like he never fully emptied himself. He was going to the bathroom 4 or 5 times a day, but he always felt incomplete. The guy was getting weaker and weaker by the day, so he came to see me, and he was at his wit's end. When I took his pulse, it was weak, thready, and frail in the framework I use. That's a classic sign that his body's core energy was completely depleted. When I looked at his tongue, it was swollen like a big, puffy piece of bread, with scalloped, wavy edges all around the sides from being pressed against his teeth, and it was covered in a thick, greasy, white coating. That combination tells me one thing loud and clear: his digestive system had been pushed to its absolute breaking point. I looked at him and I didn't sugarcoat it. I said, "Mr. Wang, you don't have a disease that's ruining you. You've been ruined by this small, frequent meals approach." He was stunned, he said, but I was trying to protect my stomach. I thought I was making it easier on myself. I said, I know, but you've got this completely backwards. You thought you were giving your stomach a lighter load. In reality, you've been depriving it of its most basic need, which is rest. Think about it this way. Let's say you have a piece of machinery, any machine, it doesn't matter what it is. If you run that machine 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even if you're only putting a very small load on it each time, is it going to last? Is it going to hold up? Of course not. It's going to overheat. It's going to break down. And that's exactly what was happening in his gut. His stomach and intestines had been working nonstop for 3 years without a single real break. So let me give you a better analogy. This is the first big idea I want you to really hold on to. Our digestive system isn't a machine that can run forever. It's more like a shift worker. It needs a schedule. It needs time on and time off. Imagine you own a factory. You have a team of hardworking employees, and those employees are your stomach and your intestines. Now, imagine you're a great manager. You have a clear schedule. Your team comes in at 8 in the morning. They work hard until noon. They take a proper lunch break where they can rest and eat. And then they come back at 2 in the afternoon and work until 6 o'clock. After 6 o'clock, the machines are turned off, the floors are swept, the equipment is cleaned and oiled, and the workers go home to rest. How efficient is that factory going to be? How long are those machines going to last? How happy are those workers going to be? Pretty good, right? Now, imagine that a new management consultant comes in and this consultant says, no, you're being inefficient. You can't afford to have any downtime. You have to keep the production line moving constantly. So they change the rules. They decide that every hour and a half, a small shipment of raw materials comes in. It's a tiny load, but it comes in around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never stopping. What happens? The workers are still unloading the previous shipment when the next one arrives. They never have a moment to step back. The machines are constantly running, so they never get oiled, they never get cooled down, they never get cooled down. They never get cleaned. The floor of the factory is covered in waste, old scraps, and garbage because there's no time to sweep or take out the trash. Pretty soon you have a filthy, chaotic, broken down mess of a factory. That, my friends, is what was happening inside Mr. Wang. His gut was that factory. For 3 years, he never gave his digestive system a single moment of real rest, and it completely fell apart. Now, there's an ancient text that has a line that I think about all the time. It says, if you eat beyond the body's natural capacity, the stomach and intestines will be injured. Most people read that and think it just means don't eat too much. But it's so much deeper than that. It means that if you violate the natural rhythm of eating and resting, if you keep your digestive system working when it should be resting, you are causing damage. Even if you're eating the healthiest food in the world, even if you're eating organic, grass-fed, farm-to-table everything, you are still harming yourself if you don't respect the rhythm. Let me put it another way. Our stomach and intestines are associated with the earth element, and what does good earth need? Every farmer knows that you can't plant a crop in the same field year after year without giving the soil a break. You have to let it rest, you have to let it lie fallow, you have to till it, let the sun bake it, let the air get into it, and let it regenerate its nutrients. If you plant something in that field every single season without a break, the soil becomes compacted, depleted, and dead. Nothing will grow. That's what happened to Mr. Wang's gut. He was eating healthy food, but his soil was dead. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, Doc, this sounds like old school thinking. Modern science says small, frequent meals are better. That's what all the diabetes organizations recommend. That's a really fair point. So let me put aside any traditional concepts and talk to you in the language of modern science, pure hard physiology, because the evidence is actually on my side here. There's a very specific mechanism in our intestines that most people have never heard of. It's called the Migrating Motor Complex, or MMC for short. Think of it as your body's built-in sanitation department. It's a roving cleaning crew that sweeps through your digestive tract. Here's how it works. When your stomach and small intestine have been completely empty for about 2 to 3 hours, meaning you've finished a meal and you haven't eaten anything else, your gut's nervous system detects that there is no more food coming in, so it releases a special hormone that triggers a powerful wave of muscle contractions. And this wave is different from the gentle churning that digests your food. This wave is strong and forceful. It's like a garbage truck with a giant pusher, or like a high-pressure power washer. It starts at the bottom of your stomach and sweeps all the way down through your small intestine, scraping off all the tiny leftover food particles, old dead cells that have shed from the gut lining, and any harmful bacteria that are trying to set up camp where they don't belong. It pushes all of that stuff down into your large intestine where it can be packaged up and eliminated. That's your gut's deep cleaning time. It's a repair and maintenance cycle. It's one of the most important processes in your entire body, and it happens multiple times a day. But here's the catch, and I want you to remember this forever. This MMC cleaning crew has one absolute non-negotiable rule. It only works during a state of absolute fasting. What does that mean? It means your stomach has to be empty. It means no calories can be entering your system. The moment you put anything into your mouth that has calories, even a single grape, even a single cracker, even a sip of milk, your brain and your stomach send an immediate signal. They say, abort, abort. Food is coming, stop the cleaning, and that MSE wave stops instantly. It's like a fire alarm going off in the middle of the night. The cleaning crew drops everything and rushes back to their stations. The job doesn't get done. Now, do you see what was happening to Mr. Wang? He would eat breakfast. A couple of hours later, his body would try to start the MMC cleaning wave, but then head eat an apple abort. A couple more hours later, his body would try again. But then head eat some crackers, abort, then nuts abort, then milk abort. For 3 solid years, over 1,000 days, his body tried to run this cleaning program over and over again. And every single time it got shut down, his MSC cleaning crew was like a fire department that was constantly being called out to false alarms. They never got to put out a real fire. They never got to do their actual job. Let me put it in terms that are easy to visualize. Think about your kitchen. You cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner in that kitchen every single day. But here's the deal. You're not allowed to wash any of the pans. You're not allowed to wipe down the counters. You're not allowed to take out the trash. You can't sweep the floor. You just cook and cook and cook 3 times a day for 3 years. What is that kitchen going to look like? The pots are going to have layers of burnt on grease. The sink is going to be clogged with rotting food. The garbage is going to be overflowing with mold. The walls are going to be coated in thick, sticky grime. You wouldn't want to stand in that kitchen. You wouldn't want to eat anything that came out of it. You'd probably gag from the smell, and that, my friends, is what was happening inside Mr. Wang's gut. That's what happens when the cleaning crew never gets to clean. In modern medicine, all of that undigested food sitting in his intestines became a breeding ground for bad bacteria. That's a condition called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Those bacteria ferment the food and produce massive amounts of gas, hydrogen, methane, all kinds of things. That's why Mr. Wang was so bloated. His gut had turned into a giant gas factory. Those gases couldn't get out. So they just expanded his abdomen like a balloon. And here's where it gets even worse. Those toxic gases and the waste products from those bacteria get absorbed through his intestinal wall and into his bloodstream. So instead of his blood carrying nutrients and oxygen to his brain and his muscles, it was carrying garbage. That garbage reached his brain, clouded his thinking, and that's why he felt foggy and couldn't focus. That garbage reached his limbs, clogged up his circulation, and that's why his legs felt so heavy, like he was dragging lead pipes. That garbage reached his skin, and that's why his face had that gray, lifeless pallor. He looked 10, 15 years older than he actually was. That's the real truth about small, frequent meals. It's not protecting you, it's turning you into a walking landfill. Let's take this a step further. In the ancient framework of health, we talk about the balance of 2 opposing forces. Digestion is a process of building and transforming. It's active, it requires energy, it burns fuel, that's like driving your car. But the fasting state, the empty state, the resting state, that's a process of storing and repairing. That's when your body heals itself. It's like putting your car in the garage overnight to cool down, to get the oil changed, to fix a flat tire. If all you ever do is drive and you never let the car rest, you're just burning fuel without ever refilling the tank. Your body will run out of gas. First, you'll feel tired and weak. Then you'll feel restless and irritable. And finally, you'll just burn out completely. That weak, frail pulse I felt in Mr. Wang. That was the signal that his tank was almost completely empty. He didn't become that way overnight. It happened over 3 years, 1 meal at a time. And now let's talk about blood sugar, because this is the part that really makes people angry. We've been told for decades that small, frequent meals are the best way to manage blood sugar. I'm here to tell you that's a misunderstanding. Yes, it's true that if you eat a small meal, your blood sugar won't spike as high as it would after a big meal. That sounds logical, but you're missing the hidden cost. Every single time you eat, your pancreas has to release insulin. Insulin is the key that unlocks your cells so that sugar can enter and be used for energy. If you're eating 7 times a day, your pancreas is working overtime, pumping out insulin constantly. Your cells are swimming in a sea of insulin all day long. Eventually, your cells get tired of hearing the same knock on the door. They start to say, "I'm full." Leave me alone. That's called insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is the real driver behind type 2 diabetes. The sugar is still in your blood because your cells won't let it in. That's why your blood sugar is high. It's not the sugar itself that's the root problem. It's that your cells have become numb to the key. So if you want to reverse insulin resistance, you have to give your cells a break from insulin. You have to let those insulin levels come way down. And the only way to do that is to stop eating. You have to create a fasting window. You have to let your body have a real break. That's not alternative medicine. That's pure basic physiology. I'm telling you all of this not to scare you. I'm telling you because I want to empower you. And now I want to give you the tool you need to turn this around. And here's the best part. It's absolutely free. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need any fancy gadgets. You don't need to buy anything. You just need to change the timing of when you eat. I'm going to give you a simple daily schedule. I call it the gut rhythm reset. You might want to grab a pen and a piece of paper or take a screenshot of your phone because I want you to have this, stick it on your fridge, put it on your desk, share it with your family. Phase 1, 7 in the morning to 9 in the morning. This is your kickstart. This is the time of day when your body's digestive fire is naturally waking up. The sun is up, your energy is rising, and your stomach is ready to work after a long night of rest. This is when your digestive power is strongest, so your breakfast needs to be substantial. It needs to be your most important meal of the day. Now, I don't mean you should eat a giant feast. I don't mean you need bacon, sausage, and pancakes. But I do mean that you should eat a real, solid meal, and here's a golden rule. It must be warm. Your stomach loves warmth. It hates cold. Think about it. Your stomach has to raise the temperature of everything you eat up to 98.6 degrees. If you dump a cold smoothie or an iced latte into your stomach first thing in the morning, it's like throwing a bucket of cold water on a tiny campfire. It can take hours for that digestive fire to recover. So what should you eat? Think warm oatmeal. Think congee, which is basically a thick rice porridge that's incredibly gentle and nourishing. Think steamed buns or whole wheat toast. That's easy to digest. Think about adding a little bit of fresh ginger to your morning routine. A few slices of ginger in hot water can warm up your stomach and kickstart your whole system. It's better than any energy drink. Phase 2, from the end of breakfast until lunchtime. This is your first golden fasting window. Let's say you finish breakfast at 8 in the morning, from 8 o'clock until noon. That's 4 hours. Your only job during those 4 hours is to not eat. Nothing goes in your mouth except warm water. No coffee with milk, no tea with sugar, no crackers, no fruit, no snacks. You give your stomach 2 hours to digest your breakfast, and then you give it at least 2 more hours for your MMC cleaning crew to do its job. Now, around 11 o'clock, your stomach is going to start making noises. It's going to growl and gurgle, and I want you to realize that sound is not a warning. It's not a sign that you're starving. That is the sound of your cleaning crew at work. It's the sound of your body pushing out waste. It's the sound of health. When you hear that sound, I want you to celebrate. I want you to think, yes, my gut is finally cleaning house. The worst thing you can do is shove a snack in your mouth the moment you hear a growl. The moment you do that, you cancel the cleaning crew. You've wasted those 2 hours of waiting. Phase 3, noon to 1 in the afternoon. This is your refuel. This is the second optimal time of day to eat. Your digestive fire is still strong, so this is your lunch. Eat a balanced meal, have some rice, have some protein, have some vegetables. Eat until you're comfortably full. This is the fuel that's going to get you through the rest of your workday. Phase 4, from the end of lunch until dinner. This is your second golden fasting window, from about 1 in the afternoon until 6 in the evening. That's about 5 hours. This is often the hardest part for people. 3 o'clock rolls around. Your coworker orders coffee and pastries. Someone brings in leftover donuts from a meeting. Your blood sugar naturally dips a little bit. And you start feeling that craving for sugar or carbs. This is the moment that tests your resolve. If you eat a piece of cake, if you drink a sweet latte, you've just stopped your cleaning crew again. All your effort is gone. But what do you do if you feel shaky or lightheaded? I have 2 practical tricks for you. The first one is to drink a glass of warm water with a tiny pinch of salt in it. Just a small pinch. It can help replace lost electrolytes and take the edge off that wobbly feeling. The second trick is to get moving. Stand up and do 10 deep breaths or do 20 squats. Exercise forces your body to release stored sugar from your liver. It gets that energy out of the warehouse and into your bloodstream. You're not running out of fuel. You just have to unlock the door to the storage room. And movement is the key. Phase 5, 5 in the afternoon to 7 in the evening. This is your wind down. This is dinner time. And here's the second golden rule. Dinner should be small, eat like a pauper, not a king. Why? Because the sun is going down and your body is starting to prepare for sleep. It's winding down. If you eat a massive, heavy dinner, a steak, a big pasta bowl, a spicy curry, you're throwing a whole log of wood onto a fire that's trying to die down. Your digestive system has to work overtime and your body's repair systems get disrupted. Plus, you're not very active in the evening, so all those extra calories are just going to be stored as fat. So for dinner, keep it light, a bowl of soup, a simple stir fry with vegetables, a little bit of rice or a slice of bread, that's enough. Let your body relax into the night. Phase 6, from the end of dinner until breakfast the next morning. This is your super repair window from about 7 in the evening until 7 the next morning. That's a full 12 hours. And I want you to treat this like a sacred time. No food, no snacks, no late night ice cream, no fruit after dinner, not a single calorie. This is the time when your body does its most important maintenance. When you're sleeping, your blood flows back to your liver so it can detoxify your system. It flows back to your kidneys so they can store vital energy. If you eat before bed, all that blood gets diverted to your stomach to digest that food. Your liver is left without resources to clean your blood, and your kidneys are left without resources to restore your energy. That's why you wake up tired. That's why you wake up with brain fog. That's why you're irritable. That's why you're not recovering from your workouts. This window is non-negotiable. I can't stress that enough. Now, I know this schedule sounds strict. I know the first 3 days are going to be challenging. You'll feel hungry. You'll feel cravings. That's just your body protesting because it's used to a different routine. Give it a chance, I promise you, after day 3. Something shifts. Your body will start to adapt. It will start to thank you. You'll feel the fog lift. You'll feel your energy coming back. It's worth the temporary discomfort. Now, I know you have questions. Let me address the most common ones I get in my clinic. Question number 1. Doc, I have an ulcer. My doctor said I need to eat frequently so stomach acid doesn't burn my stomach lining. How can I fast if I have acid pain? I hear this all the time. It's the most common concern, and I completely understand. Stomach pain is real. It's uncomfortable. It's scary. But I want you to understand that this is a common misconception. The cause and effect are actually reversed. Your stomach lining won't heal if you're constantly putting food in it. Think about a cut on your hand. If you're constantly rubbing that cut, if you're constantly putting pressure on it, if you're constantly wetting it, it's never going to heal. It can't. It's too busy being irritated. The same is true for your stomach lining. If you're constantly eating, your stomach is constantly churning, constantly producing acid, constantly working. It never gets a quiet moment to patch itself up. The only way for that lining to heal is for you to give your stomach a break. Now, if you're in acute pain and you absolutely can't handle the feeling of an empty stomach, I have a simple practical tip for you. It's something that's been used for generations. Make a thick porridge like congee. When it's done, let it cool down for a minute and you'll see a thick creamy layer form on the top. That's the porridge oil. It's the essence of the rice. Take just a teaspoon of that porridge oil and swallow it slowly. Don't eat a whole bowl, just a small amount. It acts like a gentle, natural Band-Aid. It will coat your stomach lining and protect it from acid. It will give you a little cushion so you can start practicing these new eating rhythms without being in agony. Question number 2, Doc, I have diabetes. I'm terrified of my blood sugar dropping too low. What if I have a severe low and pass out? This is the number one fear, and it's completely understandable. I've had hundreds of patients with diabetes who ask me the exact same thing, but here's what I need you to understand. If you eat a good solid lunch with protein, healthy fats, and some whole grains, that meal is going to stay in your stomach for 4 to 5 hours. It releases energy slowly and steadily. You're not going to crash. Often the shaky, lightheaded feeling you get is what we call a false low. It's your body reacting to the withdrawal of sugar. It's like giving up coffee. Your body is used to having that constant drip of sugar. So when you take it away, you feel a little shaky for a few days. But that's not true hypoglycemia. That's just your body throwing a temporary tantrum because it's being asked to use a different fuel source. Here's what I tell my patients. Give yourself 3 days. Push through that first window. If you really feel lightheaded, drink that warm water with a pinch of salt I mentioned earlier, and trust your body. Your body is incredibly smart. After 3 days, it will learn to burn fat for energy. It's a biological switch that we all have. And once that switch is flipped, you're going to feel so much more stable, no more crashes, no more shakes, no more desperate cravings. You'll have more consistent energy than you've had in years. Question number 3, Doc. I'm the opposite of Mr. Wong. I'm a hard gainer. I can't put on weight. I've been told that to gain muscle, I need to eat small, frequent meals to absorb more nutrients. But it hasn't worked. I hear this a lot too, especially from younger people or very active people. And I want to explain this very clearly. The amount of food you eat is not the most important factor. The most important factor is your body's ability to transform that food into energy and muscle. There's a principle I work with that says the spleen rules the muscles. That means whether you build strong, lean muscle tissue depends on your digestive power, not on how many calories you stuff in. If your digestive system is weak, if your spleen and stomach aren't working optimally, you can eat the most expensive, protein-packed meal in the world and your body won't use it. It will either pass right through you, or it will turn into unusable waste and water weight. That's why some people eat like a bird and gain weight, and some people eat like a horse and stay skinny. It's not about the calories, it's about the processing. So instead of eating 7 times a day, I want you to focus on building your digestive power. Eat 3 good meals, let your system rest and regenerate. When your spleen and stomach are strong, every single meal will nourish you so much more effectively. That's how you build muscle. That's how you gain healthy weight. Not by force feeding, but by repairing the engine so it can run efficiently. So here's my final message for you today. Taking control of your health doesn't require expensive vitamins, exotic herbs, or miracle pills. It requires you to pause, listen to your body, and respect its natural built-in rhythm. It requires you to give your gut the time it needs to do its job, the work, yes, but also the rest, starting today. Try adjusting your eating schedule, give your digestive system that chance to work hard and then rest hard. The first few days might feel uncomfortable, you might feel hungry, you might feel a little irritable, but that's just the sound of a system recalibrating. Give it a chance. For the sake of your long-term health, this small investment of effort is absolutely worth it, and I promise you the payoff is quicker than you think. A lot of my patients tell me that after just 1 week, they feel less bloated, more focused, and more energetic. This is for educational purposes only. Always consult your own doctor before making changes. If you're dealing with any health concerns, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor. I'm here to help you understand the science, not replace professional medical advice. I'm your family doctor, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves